we know the benefits of a big list, right? We can send more offers, more people that we can pull from. Okay, fine. And then you also have like the smaller studios that once they're full might not be that big of a deal, but there's obviously other benefits to that too, potentially. So where should I be focusing my attention? I'm just trying to grow, maintain my churn, all that.
The best lead magnet for a brick and mortar gym is the thing that gives you a taste of the solution and leaves you wanting more of said solution. You're getting the best of both worlds on that front. You're selling a service will get people to try the service, and that gives you a better, more effective lead magnet. Sponsored by
No,
Rogue, 6
no,
milligram nicotine pouches.
no free
Mango,
shout outs.
it'll tear up your gums really, really bad.
Well, GR, I'm really glad you're here today. Obviously, GR runs Gym Member Machine, which is the official marketing agency for Power Strength Training Systems, all of our locations. So we have a pretty good relationship with this, and this is something that I've been meaning to ask him. So I want to make an episode out of it. So I'm expecting expert advice, and then we'll see what Connor has to say. So we just had our marketing meeting this past week, and we have multiple people on our marketing team. Again, we're serving on nearly 5 locations with athletes and adults. These are big places. We need lots of members. We need lots of leads, engage leads. We need
If you didn't know, Mark makes lots of money. Keep going. Sorry.
Man, I would not make lots of money if we didn't focus on marketing too. So I always come up with a conundrum that when is the time to actually build the list and grow your list? Because that's what these marketing guys talk about, right? Versus let's just run some regular direct response. Let's just run our Facebook ad, click here, here's the offer, fill the gym and go. What is, I would say, opportune the best opportune time to do that? Is there a certain time of year to do one or the other? Is it overwhelming? Because I kind of get overwhelmed trying to do both, especially when we also have the athlete and adult timelines and calendars and
Mhm.
all that. So it can become a lot, and it gets overwhelming at a time. So I'm curious to know your thoughts about both. We know the benefits of a big list, right? We can send more offers, more people that we can pull from. Okay, fine. And then you also have like the smaller studios that once they're full might not be that big of a deal, but there's obviously other benefits to that too, potentially. So where should I be focusing my attention? I'm just trying to grow, maintain my churn, all that.
All right. So this is like a multi-part piece of
Multi-part.
shit type question, right?
Only way I ask
Um,
questions.
yeah, it's a good question. I don't mean that you're a piece of shit by asking the question. So if you're a gym owner listening to this and you're asking the question, it's a good question. It's a fair question. Um, a lot of it depends on context, right? And so, a lot of the gym owners that come to us at GMM, Gym Member Machine, hashtag sponsored by Gym Member Machine, um, my mom's favorite marketing agency for gyms. A lot of times, the folks that come to us there are a little bit more cash strapped, right? It is, I need to make money now. If my marketing does not make money now, then I might have to close my doors or might not be able to make payroll or whatever it is, right? And so, um, there can be some context dependent answering to this. That said, in most cases, I am not so much a fan of the like. So when a lot of people talk about building a list, they will say, "Oh, I just want to do some lead magnet type stuff, right? I want to do things that just get people on the email list." And so, insofar, if that is the question, and we're thinking, "Oh, let me do a lead magnet for athlete training or what have you," and advertise that, as opposed to advertising direct offers, in most contexts, if on Facebook, Meta, any sort of paid advertising and whatnot that you're doing, a lot of times the best way to build the list is also just doing the direct offer stuff, right? And so and you get the best of both worlds when you do things that way. Now, Mark's business is a little different for those of you that are listening. So a lot of times, what Mark will do on his advertising is somewhat different. Mark's a more mature business. He will pay way more to get a lead and have leads go through a fucking 25 question questionnaire before they even opt in. And so Mark is operating a little bit further on the extremes, where maybe this whole list building versus direct offer thing is a little bit more of a of an opposite, right? There's a little more of a dichotomy there than the average gym. But the best thing for 99.9 of the gyms that we work with is to do the direct offer stuff. Those things still tend to be lower cost than, or I shouldn't say lower cost. Those things still tend to be so cost effective that it's like, man, just advertise the direct offers and, do name, email, phone number, maybe a couple qualifying questions, not necessarily a huge questionnaire for the average gym owner, because a lot of times the marketing costs get so high there that it's not sustainable for a gym that's starting out with us. But that's typically the best way to grow the list. And then you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too, because you're advertising for a direct offer. You have people that are interested in a direct offer. To me, the best lead magnet for a gym, I know everyone read Hormozi's $100 million leads, whatever. Like, it's a great book. There's a lot of great positives, what have you. But if you read it, that made some gym owners think, oh, I need a lead magnet. I need 5 ways to lose fat for women over 40 or whatever, and I need to advertise that. Like, no, the best lead magnet for a brick and mortar gym is the thing that gives you a taste of the solution and leaves you wanting more of said solution. Well, the thing to advertise that is a taste of the solution that leaves you wanting more of the solution might be anything from a free, VIP session to a free week, free 14 days. It might be a 30-day trial, a 60-day trial, what have you, paid. Those can be low cost, they can be high cost, what have you. But those offers will build the list a lot of times close to as cost effectively as doing a specific list building mechanism will. However, you also get folks that you're going to be able to sell into your programs immediately, meaning that you liquidate your ad costs, or you get those members, you get that cash, and now you are paying for your ad spend and profitable on your ad spend sooner than later. And so again, you're getting the best of both worlds on that front. So when it comes to, if we say, oh, should I be doing lead magnets as a gym owner? It's like, yeah, I guess you should be doing lead magnets, but not in the way that most people think about lead magnets, not in the way that the old funnel builders talk about lead magnets. The best lead magnets for gyms are fucking come try the gym, right? You're giving them the actual taste of the solution that you're going to provide to them. You're not selling books. You're not selling products. You're selling a service. Will get people to try the service. And that gives you a better, again, it's just a more effective lead magnet than, oh, here's your fucking guide to eating out and still losing weight. You're not selling a fucking cookbook.
Yeah.
Selling a gym. Dude,
So
service.
I have some follow-up questions, but I want to hear your insights as well, if you have follow-up questions or comments before I get really specific and start to dominate this conversation.
Dominate,
Did you
daddy.
did you say me?
Yeah, do you have any comments?
Broke up. He just described the way that we
Great
market.
answer, by the way, because it's a really sorry, I wanted to also mention I feel better just hearing him say that. So if you're a gym owner who reads all this stuff from marketers and you feel like you have to do this, because this was me for a lot of years, and still, again, I ask the question, it's top of mind, it's the real thing. Even for a grizzled vet like myself, you should feel good about what he just said, and I agree with him.
He just described the way that we market. Nailed it. I've heard it said a lot of different ways. You basically have, in terms of leads, the people that will buy, you have slow, medium, and fast. Your fast people are gonna, if one of our front end offers that we could always run is either a free trial, so 1 session, or 7 days, right? So you're gonna have someone that opts in and they answer us immediately, and they are scheduled for that front end offer immediately, like boom, boom, like perfect scenario. Then you have someone that doesn't answer, or they do answer and then they kind of ghost you, and you put them into a different list or a bucket, and you continue to market to them, right? And they come in within like the first, let's just say month or two. And then you have someone that's going to be a longer, slower lead, that a longer nurture, where they go into a different list, a different bucket, and you continue to always market to them. And then at some point, with the right offer and the right timing for them, they eventually come in, but it's always through the same door that GR just said, is that we are marketing our front end offer. We don't change it. I've done lead magnets in the past, and I tried to build the list. I 100% agree. The best way to build your list is to offer what you normally offer, especially increase the spend. For us, like within a pre-sale, is we're spending close to $125 to $150 a day in our Facebook ads, and we're automatically building our list just because the amount of leads that are coming in. And those leads that come in, some are going to buy quickly, some are going to buy medium, some are going to buy slow, but we continue to market to those people.
And when we say market, I think a lot of times, like number one, people can continue seeing your advertised content, what have you, but they also just get into your universe
Oh
where
yeah.
you're hopefully emailing
Yeah,
continuously, right? So when we say
That's where I
marketing,
was
it's like
gonna.
the email
yeah,
marketing
exactly.
component, right?
When I say market to those people, I mean that we're bringing them onto our email list, we're bringing them onto our universe, and now we're organically through email marketing, through text message, through all that stuff. Now we're sending them different offers, and we're trying to nurture that lead for the long term.
Here's some background info too, and I talk really just having conversations with myself and this side of this too, and I like to poke holes in things. It's like, well, I need to grow the list. That was I kept telling myself that. Then it's like, well, are you actually going to email them? And I've had these conversations with the gym owners as well. It's like, yeah, I have an email. And then it's like, well, are you? How many emails did you send last quarter? And it's like, oh, nothing. Well, then why are you worried
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
However, that is the bigger you get, and especially as you hire a team, like I just went and hired, I have an in-person staff, plus we use GMM on the digital side as well, which is a lot to integrate, a lot of moving parts with that, but also it's a bigger business. So it's like this came around about 9 months ago, and we started hiring these people and trying to figure out the structure for this. And then just until this year, it's like, all right, I'm committed to emailing these lists. And this is not including our automations that we use through GMM as well, which I think are super important. Like that matters. You can't just say it's automated. Like it's got to be like a interactive. Make sure you're treating people like a human. Our customers are smart. They're understanding. At least our avatar is smart. They're educated people. Like they can sniff that out a mile away. So that has to be really humanized for sure. But what I started noticing is we started emailing, and a kind of a combined average over open rate for us on email was like 48%, which is like astronomically successful. So then the conversation was like, well, how do we get more people on this list if we're going to have that much people listening to us? So we kind of found that sweet spot. And I practice again. I'm a pretty good experienced writer with this stuff as well, and I've studied what I need to study and all that. And we're local, hometown type thing. So sets a strong list. So it's like, well, how do I grow this list now? And at the same time, too, when GR and I experienced with, or we tested this, we're not using lead ads on Facebook, going right off the page, sending them to a landing page, which isn't the best on the digital side, the tracking side. But we spent time doing it, found the data, 6 months to a year's worth of data. We ran these numbers, which GR, I don't think I told you this yet, but we're back to running lead ads on our adult side. Because even though we had to through more people and kiss some frogs, as we say, we still had more people show up to calls, more people close, all that stuff, because we actually created a bigger pond, so to speak, or had our list was bigger. And so to speak to GR's point with real data on a big business, he's exactly right. Like just, hey, we spiked the lead ad, and we keep paying. I'll keep paying the same amount, but now we're actually not just getting the people to fill out our second step. They're going back to filling out that first step, but we're also growing that list in the process. So my dollar is like whether this person is immediate or I'm going to get them later. Like Connor was saying, I'm getting more for my dollar. I'm growing the list and getting people that are interested. So I thought that was an interesting concept for actual brick and mortar gym owners who have limited time, energy, spend, all that, because now it's like, well, can you email your list once a week or even twice a month? Make it good, or even if it's just like a little offer, or even if it's just like being in their world, sharing a success story here and there. If you're committed to doing that, and that's all you really need to do, if your automations are set up the right way. And I think that's what people miss the boat on, because they read these things and think they know better. But I'm telling you, that's what the experts are saying, that are actually doing this with hundreds of gym owners, and also ourselves with, between Connor and I now, we have 10 locations, soon to be 10 locations. That's a lot of launches. It's a lot of nurturing, a lot of different programs. And I think that's what gives some people this should give you some peace of mind, and just be confident in your strategy going forward with this.
Well, I'll say this, because I have to click that and probably put it in our internal like training and onboarding for GMM clients, because a lot of times what happens, and to your credit, I think you went about the decision to try to go to the more filtered lead gen, what have you, which is, again, this is like a giant application, right? It's going to be a deeply qualified lead. Uh, a lot of folks that will start with us, and we'll tell them this typically on our super duper high pressure sales calls is, look, like if you're the gym owner, you're doing all the follow up, et cetera. Like you are going to kiss some frogs. You're going to have to, like, you're going to hate us before you like us. Because the reality is, like, I'd love to sit here and tell people that, hey, you're the days of closing 9 out of 10 literal leads. So name, email, phone number, or Facebook message or whatever. You're going to close 9 out of 10 of those people. Like, no, it's not that way anymore. Right? Like you're really stinking happy if you're closing 20% of your Facebook leads to a, membership, front end offer, whatever it is. And the irony of the math, because a lot of gym owners will come to us and they'll say, oh my gosh, we need higher quality leads, what have you. And we'll try to do more filtering. I'll tell them beforehand, look, like in the end, so what typically happens is that when the gym owner's doing the follow-up, they have to handle everything themselves. They want to filter more to try to create higher lead quality. And then when they end up inevitably offboarding that to someone else, right? Because now they've made more money, thanks to GMM, my mom's favorite marketing agency for gyms. We'll just repeat the joke, right? It's fun. Then they're like, oh, let's go back to the non-filtered model because the fucking math works out better, right? Your CAC, I've got a big old CAC. Your customer acquisition cost, your client acquisition cost, whatever you want to call it, tends to be lower, even with the lower quality leads, closing a lower percentage of those than when you go with a more filtered mechanism, what have you, right? The math ends up shaking out. So it's nice that you have experienced that, the same advice that we give our gym owners internally, and that it's not just us trying to make our job easier, right? It's, hey, this is the math. It's better. We try to think with our gym owner's pocket, right? With the gym owner's wallet in mind. I think that's one of the reasons we've maintained super long-term relationships with our gym owners is that we try to think with the gym owner's wallet. It tends to be better when folks think that way and do things that way for their wallet than, trying to go the super high filtered, high quality lead route. Because even if you do the more filtered lead, you are still not going to close everybody who opts in for a given thing. It's just not the way it works in today's day and age. Now, the other thing that I'll touch on with the lead magnet side, and maybe this has been squashed enough, I'm just going to put my foot back on the bug and twist to make sure it's dead. So one of the downsides to the lead magnet side of things, because again, you read a book, you watch a video, you see someone smart who is smart that says, oh, you need lead magnets. I'm going to do this fancy funnel thing because sometimes I feel like fancy is better than than the basics, right? Let me do a fucking Bosu ball squat with bands and chains as opposed to just doing the basic exercises to give me the best results. Gym owners do this with their marketing all the time. They say, oh, I'm going to do this lead magnet thing. I'm going to get cheaper leads, maybe, which is sometimes true and sometimes not. But the thing that folks don't think about when they try to do these lead magnet type campaigns is you need an entirely new mechanism for attempting to turn. Because if you're going to do the lead magnet, you damn well better have a mechanism for turning that lead magnet into a sale sooner than later, right? To turn some of those lead magnets into, as Connor said, fast buyers. And most gyms don't have that. Most gyms don't have that skill because it takes typically a human person to say, all right, here's your lead magnet, did you get access? There's a whole script and process and whatnot that you can use to try to maximize it. And then you try to turn that into a little bit of a conversation. And hopefully that conversation moves forward and turns into a consult or your sales conversation starting point, whatever the hell it is that you guys are calling it now. And the issue with that is that you're getting a lower quality person that may or may not be interested in the specific thing that you're actually offering. They may have just wanted a cookbook and not a fucking gym. They're not looking to go train somewhere. They want a cookbook. Now you've got a lower quality lead in that regard, someone who's less interested in the thing you're trying to offer. You've got to have this whole new system for turning that opt-in into a deeper conversation, which again, most gym owners just don't have. Or you do something that's probably close to the same cost, like the lead cost on some of these offer things on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, whatever. It tends to be pretty close to whatever you'd offer or whatever you'd get if you're marketing some sort of lead magnet. And so if you get the lead, you get the opt-in, you're building the list at the same price, and it's a more qualified person that has a higher probability of being interested in the thing that you're doing, because the thing that you're doing is the thing you're advertising now, as opposed to some bullshit fucking fat loss guide or whatever. It makes, again, squash the bug again and twist. Like the lead magnet thing for most gym owners just doesn't make sense. It can make sense on a website, but I'd argue even that, if make the opt-in on your website the fucking thing, whether it's talk to a coach or try a session or whatever it is. Like even on websites, it can tend to make more sense. The bucket that can make sense for some of this more list buildy type stuff might be organic content if you wanted to go that route, meaning your videos, your posts on Instagram, Facebook, what have you, TikTok, whatever, YouTube, whatever the fuck it is you're doing. But even then, dude, it's like, yeah, it's a slog, right? It is not the most efficient mechanism typically, particularly with the types of services that our gyms are offering. It just doesn't make sense. So prompt me with more questions, or did we already kill this issue? Is there more you want to unpack? What do we think?
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, that's really great stuff because where we got, I don't want to say confused, but I think this is like a two-parter. To give more backstory too, it's like we have a really big application, especially on our athlete front, because there's such a higher volume at specific times of the year, especially where it was just a lot to manage. So we try to mimic that same mindset to our adult populations, where it's just like this wasn't the case. Like we need to build like do what we just said on the adult side, the athlete side. We can still be a little bit different. It's worth testing some different things from time to time, but we make them jump through a couple of hoops anyways. And an athlete parents, like we can remove one of those hoops, probably a little bit better. Anyways, I also think gym owners make a mistake where they don't think this strategy through first, and then the tactics. They want to go to the tactic. Build my list. I need a league magnet. But he said some great things in there about follow-up systems and all that extra stuff. Like even when we switched back to lead ads, I actually told my team, I said, we're gonna kiss some frogs, get on the phones, you're gonna have people no-show you. Like that's just, are we ready for that? The data is showing us that you're gonna get more people, your program is gonna grow, your location is gonna grow. Are you guys willing to do that? Of course, it was like a unanimous yes. All right, great. Now no frustration when that happens. Just expect it and then figure out better ways to do that. And we really had to dial that in for sure. But I think that's really important because they know that's the strategy. The strategy is going to work if we just do the thing. I think just gym owners they see the revenues down for a month or two, or they get fearful of the next month's revenue and they just want a quick fix now rather than like following the best strategy going forward and then building the tactics around that and reinforcing those systems because they hear system building all the time. We need to build systems, and there's no context behind it because the people telling you that aren't always doing the thing, and they don't understand how complex some of these systems actually are. If one area is faulty or one area doesn't get done consistently, that's why I like to rely on certain, whether it's agency or softwares or whatever else it is. It's like this is the system that we use no matter what, and this is the repeatable output we can get. So we can onboard staff, and we can hold staff reliable. We can have different KPIs and other indicators that tell us that this is what success looks like. And that's a true system rather than just throwing stuff out there. And I think that's the difference between amateur and pro gym owners, where they start understanding that. And I need to get around other people that will just tell them this. So this podcast is super beneficial in that regard as well. And that shouldn't think you're gonna get that today. We're just talking list building. But I think it's a really important concept to understand is like, get me a strategy first and then build out the system or the tactic from there. And by the way, don't read the books, just talk to the guy who's doing it.
Right.
I think that's another thing we
sense.
can add too. And I'm pretty polarizing on this. It's like, cool, you're just going to read the book to try to figure it out for yourself when you should just outsource this if you have the means to do so, or just have a conversation with someone who's doing it and follow there, and then go read a book that can use all the time, rather than just like, eventually you're going to outsource some of this marketing stuff. So you need to know enough, but you need to know the strategy, and then maybe you don't have to run all the tactics.
There's a couple of good notes there. And I think, so I've tried to get back into golf recently, as I've mentioned to you guys. And if any of I don't know how heavy the golf hobby is for gym owners, so this may not be super relevant, but in the golf world, for folks that try to do it quite a bit, they will, it's almost like notorious for folks that know and folks that don't. Folks that know, will say, "Oh, yeah, you went down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like you completely destroyed your swing looking at the random drills and oh, this pro does this and this person does that, and you need to do this move at the top of your backswing, and it can completely fuck you up." Right. So you could try to YouTube and piece together, oh, look, this person, I read this golf book and they said to do this marketing thing. And I read this, watched this marketing YouTube video and they said to do this. And you try to piece it all together when in reality, like the best thing for most of us, like shitty amateur golfers, is to go to a pro and have the pro tell you, hey, based on your swing and your situation, you need to do this. Also, uninstall YouTube from your fucking phone or block golf videos on your social media, YouTube, what have you, because all it's doing is fucking you up. And I think a lot of times that happens in the marketing space is we try to get too cute. And if we're continuing on this marketing chat, I think one of the biggest mistakes that gym owners will make with their marketing is, dude, like you mentioned training up your staff and what have you, right? Like having a system in place. Well, what system is going to be more effective? The person that is doing a somewhat standardized offer and mechanism. So like Connor at 5 gyms doing essentially two things: free VIP session or a free week trial. It's 5 gyms. Is that fancy? Is that the newest fancy offer? Is that reading the crazy marketing book and trying to do some psycho offer stack and what have you? Like, no, it's a free session or it's a free week. Those are two processes. They're going to have a relatively similar thing. Is it easier for Connor to train his team up and to have 5 studios execute on an exceptionally high level with 1 or 2 offers? Or is it easier to say, oh, you know what? We're going to change our offer every single month. Some gym owners go more ADD, than that. We're going to change our offer every other fucking week because we didn't close every single lead that shows up. And every week you're setting up a new membership setup in MindBody. You're having to train your team on a new mechanism of selling, a new sales process, a new offer strategy, a new presentation of price, a new fulfillment and conversion strategy. So like, Connor, I'm sure, can close people on 7-day coming off of 7-day trials like fucking clockwork, right? That is a standardized process. Whereas if Connor said, you know what, next week we're actually going to run an 8-week program. Well, that 8-week program requires a different conversion mechanism on the back end to turn that 8-week trial member into a member than a 7-day process or a 1-day process, right? And a lot of gym owners will change that shit all the time when in reality, the biggest thing that separates the guys like you from the guys that aren't like you and the gals that aren't like you, that aren't as successful as y'all are, is the fucking execution on the back end. Having good follow-up, having a good sales process, and having a good process for turning that initial offer, whatever it may be, into a long-term happy paying client that wants to rave to their friends about you and refer all their friends and all that fun shit. It's that. It's not like, yeah, we're really good fucking media buyers. We write really great copy. Like, we've got the results and shit to back it up. However, the reality is we have gym owners that come in and fail. Why did they fail? A lot of times it's because, oh, we need to change this offer. Are we calling the leads? No, we're not calling the leads. It's just a whole thing. So I'm ranting at this point. I'm pulling
the gym owner mindset though too, to pull on that thread a little bit more too, is like all of them will say that they're talking to a prospect or a client, they'll just be like, hey, you need a coach. Like, this is the value of a coach, this is the value of someone who knows what they're doing, like us. And this, if their client comes in and say, well, I'm going to read about nutrition, I'm going to read about working out, I'm going to watch this stuff, I'm going to piece together my own training program, my own nutrition plan, my own recovery plan. And it's like, or I could just tell you what to do a lot faster, and you might have to pay exchange some value there. Like, they do that all the time. That's no brainer. This is the same thing. I'm gonna read this book, I'm gonna read this offer, because now we're talking about offers and list building and all this. It's the same thing with what we found, like even with like upsells. It's like, fine, we got someone in there. Now we're gonna read this upsell because we could do this, we should do this. And I'm not saying you shouldn't upsell. I'm saying, like, what's the strategy? Like, okay, the strategy is there's probably people there that want to buy more from us. Great. Is there a system that we can put in place where it's like, we know we're going to ask these things at these specific times to these specific clients or our client list, whatever it is? Or are we just going to put on the salesperson? Hopefully they understand how to do these 5 different upsell options where every single time it's a little bit different. I'm not saying don't arm them with how to prescribe appropriately. What I'm saying is the bigger you get, and I'm not just saying bigger as in locations or square footage or members, the more people you have involved in this process and you want them to do it at a high level, the simpler plays you need to give them and the better guidance and strategy you need to give them before you start overloading them with a million tactics. And that there's something that's going to work for every little body, every person in their gym or whatever program, whatever it is, but it's the same concept for that. And I think that's a good thing to understand and get our minds around as gym owners.
Connor, what did we say your magic trick was ages ago? It's like you're just the fucking king of not overcomplicating shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's a simpleton.
Yeah,
And
I am. I am.
for it.
And it works for me. It's funny because we talked off air of some of the changes that and this is going away from marketing, but some of the changes that we're making within my business currently. And it's just like, I talked to my executive team and it was like, hey, I do consulting. Okay. I think no big deal, obviously, but I do some consulting. And one of the things that I think I'm really good at is to simplify. If I were consulting on our business and these specific processes that were kind of in question, I would say, hey, you guys need to simplify that. And to go back to the marketing, like this, to simplify is to scale. To make things complex is to, if you have one location, yeah, you can make things complicated because you're the one doing it. It's in your head. But as you scale, you have to simplify things to get people to execute it, because done is what needs to be done.
to simplify is to scale. I think that's a good banger to close this shit out on, Mark, unless you got any other follow-up stuff.
Oh my good. It's too much value in that one. We got to stop.
We'll continue the value next week in San Antonio
We'll continue the value.
in our closed door event. In our closed door.
Next week, the time of this recording, guys, we are meeting with people in person next week in lovely San Antonio.
If you want to come ride a divvy scooter, call 877.
Well,
BuildYourGymPire.com.
It's not only life changing on the business and gym owner side of things, it is life changing with new experiences. I, for one, was never on one of those scooters before driving around San Antonio. I've always like, this isn't for me. And I was kind of peer pressured into doing it, keeping up with the crowd. And I don't know if I ever told you guys that or not, but like, I mean, we're driving on the road with these things. Like, I'm not an adventure seeker. Like,
no, we couldn't tell that you were adventurous going 5 miles per hour.
I left GR in the dust, so GR's motor died.
Yeah, right.
Pedal it like a razor scooter, non-motorized razor scooter the entire way. Showed up. Why are you out of breath and sweating? But I'm looking forward to going back to the scooters.
If you would like to ride scooters with other gym owners with the same goals as go to buildyourgympire.com today. All right, we're cutting this. We'll come back with more value. I think a good idea for a next episode might be how we simplify the sales process, because that's something that we haven't touched on in a long time. So be on the lookout for that, along with our super secret interview. And love hugs. See y'all next week.